Let's talk about cognitive biases. Yes, you know the ones, those little simplistic shortcuts our mind makes in order to make decisions and rationalize reality in a sped up format. Or as the internet describes it, a systemic error in thinking that occurs when people are interpreting the world around them and affects the decisions and judgments that they make. And I believe it's important to become aware of these cognitive biases, for the first step towards rooting out unhealthy behavior is being able to identify it. So let's jump right in and see what happens. Cognitive bias number 1. The Dunning-Kruger effect. Essentially, experts will recognize their limited knowledge on a subject matter and hopefully engage in intellectual honesty when presenting the information that they know. Whereas information hobbyists will have a tendency to watch a single YouTube video or read a single article on the interwebs and say, "Oh, this information's simple to process. These experts, they know nothing. Oh, pish posh. I don't need to listen to them. I read my article." Albert Einstein put it beautifully. The more I know, the more I realize how much I don't know. Cognitive bias number 2. Confirmation bias. This is where you'll go out into the world essentially looking for information to confirm that which you already believe to be true. So whether you believe that the earth is flat, that doomsday is on the horizon, or that personally you are smart, not smart, likable, not likable, your brain will be wired to seek information to confirm these beliefs. But I'd recommend making a habit of being more like Rene Descartes and checking the validity of our beliefs regularly. Cognitive bias number 3. The optimism/pessimism bias. Whether you have an affinity with seeing things positively or seeing things negatively, when you go into situations, you'll have an overestimation to see that situation in that format. So if you go to a party, you're like, "Oh, parties are just blubber blabber, too much music, too much hot sweaty bodies, and you can't have any serious conversations. They're terrible, terrible things." You'll use that bias to justify maybe not going. Whereas if you're the optimist, you say, "Oh, parties are great! I love parties. I get to express myself, learn new information about people, make new friends. It's gonna be amazing. This is gonna be the greatest time of my life. Let's go to the party." You may have that overestimation of how it will be. Granted, we do know that there's the self-serving prophecies. So going into either of those situations with those mentalities may help it manifest. So yeah, do you lean towards the optimistic or the pessimistic, or do you fall between? Are you a realist? Confirmation bias number 4. The sunk cost fallacy. You see, we humans generally believe that when we put something in, we should get something out. So whether we're investing time or money, we believe that there should be a certain return on that investment. Confirmation bias number 4. The sunk cost fallacy. You see, us humans have a tendency to believe that when we put something in, we should get something out, whether that is time or money. For example, you may hold on to certain inanimate objects despite appreciation because of the amount of money that you put into it. That money's not coming back. Or as an interpersonal example, you may be staying in an unhealthy relationship because of the time and effort that you have invested into that relationship. You're not going to get that time back. So think about the things that you've invested in, and if you're holding on to them simply because you have invested in them. Confirmation bias number 5. The negativity bias. This is the tendency to weigh the potential negative aspects of a situation higher than the potential positive aspects of a situation. For example, if a friend of yours encouraged you to stand up and sing in front of your friends, you may think, "Oh dear, that doesn't sound like a good idea. They'll think I'm crazy. They'll see how bad of a voice I have. They'll judge me. I'll lose these friends. I'm not gonna do that. Think of all these terrible, terrible things that'll happen if I sing." Whereas you could think of the positive aspects, like, "Oh, if I sing, I get to have some self-expression, maybe exude some confidence, maybe make a habit of not taking myself too seriously and just going with the flow in life." Confirmation bias number 6. The backfire effect. This is one of my favorite cognitive biases because it materializes in so many ways. It essentially is the tendency to hold on to a belief more firmly when it gets challenged. It may occur with the insidious why. Why do you think global warming's a hoax? Why do you think the earth is flat? Why do you believe Seinfeld's the greatest show ever made? Why do you think that everybody who eats ketchup is a peasant? Because the ketchup corporation is brainwashing humanity and turning them into a bunch of simpletons, etc. So if you find your beliefs becoming reaffirmed when somebody challenges them, you may have experienced the backfire effect. Confirmation bias number 7. The fundamental attribution error. This is when individuals make broad stroke assumptions about entire groups of people or products or cultures. You may say, oh, all androids are terrible. Oh, all Apple products are amazing. Oh, everybody who's affiliated with that political party that I don't agree with, they're brainwashed simpletons, snowflakes who can't think. But these broad stroke assumptions are usually tethered to a lack of information and to our cultural/environmental upbringing. They're not rooted in reality, but they do serve as shortcuts to, again, perhaps confirm our biases. So those are 7 of my favorite cognitive biases. I'd love to hear what some of yours are below. Thanks for tuning in. Toodles.